in the emerald heart of Bali, where volcanoes touch the clouds and the sea whispers secrets to the shore, there exists a balance older than time itself. This balance is not a quiet peace, but a dynamic, eternal dance between the forces of Banaspati Raja, the king of the forest, and the shadows that creep from the graveyard. Long ago, when the island was young and the spirits walked openly among men, a great and heavy darkness began to settle over the ancient village of Kadiri. It started with a cold, unnatural wind that carried the suffocating scent of rotting frangipani, a clear sign that the queen of the Layaks, Rhonda, had awakened from her slumber. Rhonda was not merely a sorceress, she was the primal embodiment of destruction, pestilence, and the unbridled, terrifying chaos of the midnight hour. She craved the suffering of the living, and with a flick of her long, clawed fingers, she unleashed a terrible, invisible plague upon the unsuspecting land. The crops withered in the fields within hours, the water in the holy springs turned bitter as gall, and the children fell into a deep, feverish sleep. The village elders gathered in desperation at the Puradalem, the temple of the dead, praying for a protector to stand against the rising tide of death. "We need the Lord of the Forest," whispered Wayan, the high priest, his voice trembling like a dry leaf caught in the center of a storm. From the deepest, most sacred depths of the jungle, a low, guttural growl vibrated through the earth, shaking the very foundation stones of the temples. It was Barong, the benevolent beast, the leader of the forces of good, known to the people across the islands as the majestic king of spirits. Barong was a creature of magnificent sight, with a golden mane that shone like the midday sun and eyes that held the silent wisdom of 1,000 ancestors. He was not a god of distant, unreachable heavens, but a guardian who lived in the red dirt, the tall trees, and the very breath of the Balinese people. Sensing the profound suffering of his children, Barong emerged from the shadows of the ancient banyan tree, his ornate mask clattering with a sound like rhythmic thunder. He knew that to save the soul of the island, he must confront Rhonda at the peak of her power. During the unholy, breathless hour of midnight, the plague had already claimed many lives, and the village air was heavy with the thick smoke of funeral pyres that struggled to stay lit. Against the damp wind, Rhonda laughed from the heights of the dark, jagged hills, her long, leathery tongue lolling as she prepared to consume the very spirit of Bali. "Come, little kitten," she hissed, her voice a jarring chorus of screeching owls and scraping stone. "Come, and see how your beautiful world turns to cold ash." Barong did not flinch. He stepped boldly into the village square, his golden presence bringing a sudden, miraculous warmth to the freezing night air. He was accompanied by his loyal followers, the brave warriors of the village who carried sacred Karis daggers, forged in fire and blessed by holy water. The ground began to heave as Rhonda descended from the trees, her pendulous breast swaying and her wild white hair trailing behind her like a burial shroud. The battle began not with a physical blow, but with a clash of spiritual energies that turned the night sky into a chaotic canvas of purple, red, and gold. Rhonda raised her cursed magic cloth, the Lanter, and cast a terrifying spell of madness upon the warriors who stood bravely by Barong's side. Suddenly, the warriors turned their own sharp weapons toward their chest, their eyes clouded by the suffocating darkness of the witch's telepathic mind. This was the most terrifying power of the plague. It made the healers hurt themselves, and the protectors seek to destroy everything they loved. But Barong, in his infinite and ancient mercy, used his own divine power to harden the skin of his warriors against the steel. As they pressed the sharp, wavy blades against their own bare flesh, the metal bent and the skin remained unbroken. This was the miracle of Ngebug. Rhonda shrieked in absolute frustration, for her dark magic could not pierce the shield of a heart that was truly protected by the king of the forest. Barong leaped forward, his heavy, spiritual hooves striking the ground with the force of a localized earthquake, cracking the dry earth beneath him. He snapped his massive jaws, the sound echoing through the valley like the closing of a celestial gate, warding off the invisible demons circling the square. The fight moved from the village to the shore, where the black volcanic sands of Bali met the churning, violent tides of the Indian Ocean. Rhonda summoned the vengeful spirits of the drowned to pull Barong into the depths. But the beast roared, and the sea became suddenly eerily still. "You cannot win, Rhonda," Barong's spirit communicated through the rustling of the palms. "For as long as there is life, there will be a guardian." The Plague Queen grew tall, her form swelling until she blotted out the moon itself, her black claws reaching up to pluck the stars from the firmament. She unleashed a final, desperate wave of sickness that turned the air into a thick, poisonous green fog, choking the lungs of every living thing. Barong took a deep, monumental breath, drawing the poison into his own golden chest, filtering the darkness through his internal divine light. He exhaled a massive cloud of white incense, a holy fragrance that broke the fever of the sick and cleared the minds of the dying instantly. The villagers, watching from the high walls of the temples, began to chant the sacred mantras, their collective voices giving Barong renewed strength. This was the secret of the legend. Barong's power was tied to the faith, the rituals, and the unbreakable unity of the people he protected. Rhonda realized that she could not kill the beast without first killing the spirit of the island itself, and that spirit was far too strong. She tried to vanish into the shifting shadows, to hide in the deep cracks of the earth until the modern people forgot their ancient traditions. But Barong followed her into the dark, his glowing, benevolent eyes illuminating every hidden, forgotten corner of the material and spiritual world. He cornered her at the entrance of a sacred limestone cave, where the spirits of their first ancestors were said to rest in eternal meditation. There, the two forces locked in a final, desperate embrace, representing the eternal struggle of Rawabanetta, the necessary balance of opposites. Rhonda bit deep into Barong's shoulder, her teeth filled with the concentrated venom of 1,000 scorpions and the bitterness of envy. Barong did not cry out in pain. Instead, he shed a single tear of pure, glowing sandalwood oil, which sealed and healed the wound in an instant. He understood in that moment that he could not truly destroy Rhonda, for darkness is a necessary, albeit painful, part of the world's grand cycle. Without the terrifying night, we would not appreciate the day. Without the plague, we would not value the health and survival of our community. His divine goal was not to erase her existence, but to push her back into the shadows and restore the vital equilibrium of the living land. With one final, thunderous snap of his powerful jaws, Barong unleashed a burst of solar energy that sent Rhonda reeling back into the void. The Witch Queen vanished with a hollow howl that became the morning wind, retreating to the depths of the graveyard to wait for another age. The sun began to rise slowly over the peak of Mount Aging, its first golden rays turning the world into a vast kingdom of shimmering light. The green fog lifted, the springs flowed with sweet, clear water once more, and the children opened their eyes, their heavy fevers finally broken. Barong stood alone in the center of the village, his golden mane dusted with the cool dew of the morning and his mask gleaming with pride. He had fought the plague and won, but as a guardian, he knew his watch would never truly end as long as the world kept turning. The people of Bali emerged cautiously from their homes, falling to their knees in profound gratitude to the beast who had saved their souls. They brought massive offerings of colorful flowers, rice, and tropical fruit, decorating Barong with heavy garlands of bright orange marigolds. From that day on, the Barong dance became a sacred ritual, a living, breathing memory of the time the beast stood alone against the plague. It is not merely a performance for the eyes. It is a spiritual cleaning of the village, a way to invite Barong's protection into our modern lives. The character of Barong is one of fierce, protective compassion, a monster who uses his frightening appearance to scare away even greater evils. He teaches us that sometimes we must embrace our own inner strength and justified ferocity to protect that which is holy and innocent. In Lombok and the surrounding Lesser Sunda Islands, similar legends are told of silent guardians who watch over the dangerous crossroads of life. The focus of this story remains the pivotal moment of the Karis dance, where the human will is tested against the weight of a witch's curse. It serves as a reminder that the human mind can be a weapon of self-destruct or a shield of light, depending on where our loyalty lies. Barong represents the Banjar, the local community, the collective soul that stands shoulder to shoulder in times of overwhelming crisis. Rhonda represents the unchecked ego, the greed, and the crushing isolation that leads to the decay of the heart and the society. When the plague comes, whether it be a sickness of the physical body or a sickness of the moral heart, Barong is there to remind us of our resilience. The masks used in these ceremonies are never treated as mere wood. They are living objects, infused with the actual spirit of the Lord of the Forest. To look directly into the bulging eyes of a Barong mask is to look into the fierce, loving heart of the island of Bali itself. This legend survives because the struggle between the light and the dark is a story that never gets old and never loses its relevance. Every new generation must eventually face its own version of Rhonda, and every generation must find the courage to summon its own Barong. The moral of the story is that balance is not a final destination, but a continuous, daily effort that requires vigilance and faith. We must constantly dance with our inner demons to keep them in check, never letting them lead the rhythm of our lives. Barong's true benevolence is found in his patience, his eternal willingness to fight the same battle over and over for the sake of his people. He does not ask for gold or glory. He only asks for the people to remember their connection to the earth and to each other. The sound of the gamelan orchestra, with its clashing bronze cymbals and deep, resonating gongs, is the very heartbeat of this ancient legend. The music mimics the chaotic, but controlled energy of the fight, spiraling upward until it reaches a fever pitch of spiritual ecstasy. As the music swells, so does the spirit of those who listen, reminding them that they are part of something vast, ancient, and indestructible. The island of Bali remains a place of profound wonder, because it continues to honor these unseen guests in its daily life and breath. The physical plague was defeated, but its lessons remain etched forever in the stone of the temples and the muscle memory of the Dancers, never forget that even in your darkest, most lonely night, there is a golden lion waiting in the spiritual jungle to stand by your side. The beast who fought the plague is a universal symbol of hope for anyone currently facing an impossible, overwhelming challenge. It tells us that our charis, our inner strength will not harm us if our intentions are pure, and our hearts are aligned with the good. It tells us that the natural world is a friend and a powerful ally to those who respect its laws and cherish its many mysteries. Barong's journey is the journey of every protector, every parent, and every leader who refuses to back down in the face of fear. Through the thick smoke of the sandalwood incense and the scattered petals of the offerings, the spirit of the Barong lives on today. He remains the guardian of the temple gates, the watcher of the rice fields, and the undisputed king of the sacred banyan tree. As the stars come out tonight over the thousands of islands in Indonesia, know that the balance is being held by forces we barely understand. The laughter of the healthy children and the vibrant green of the land are the only trophies Barong ever cared to claim from his victory. Let us carry the strength of the Barong within our own spirits. As we face the various plagues of our modern, complicated world, let us strive to be the hardened skin that the blades of malice and the arrows of misfortune cannot pierce or break. And let us be the sweet-smelling incense that clears the heavy air for those around us, who are currently struggling just to breathe. The myth of Barong and Rongna is the very breath of Bali, a story told in every single heartbeat of the people who call the island home. It is a legacy of absolute courage, a testament to the enduring power of the lesser sun spirit in the face of the unknown. From the highest volcanic peaks to the deepest coral reefs, the king of the forest reigns supreme over the hearts of the faithful. May the golden, shimmering mane of the Barong always shine brightly upon your path, lighting the way through the thickest woods. As we close this chapter of the legend, let the distant bells of the mountain temple ring in your ears, calling you back to the light, and may the quiet wisdom of the ancestors guide you safely through the shadows. For the benevolent beast is always watching, always waiting. Thank you for joining us for this epic tale on Storycraft Studio. If this legend moved you, please comment, like, and subscribe for more myths.